football, an exciting high-risk sport that is one of America's favorite pastimes. One of the biggest components, which makes the sport what it is the tackling involved in it. Some of the most memorable moments, aside from the game-winning touchdowns, involve bodies slamming into bodies as tackles are made. Oftentimes, the illegal tackles are even more vital than the legal ones, as the penalties can be game-altering. As of 2018, the NFL released a new set of guidelines dictating what constitutes an illegal tackle versus a legal tackle. Using the concepts of biomechanics, the study of forces and motions of living things, let's see why some tackles have been dictated legal while others are considered illegal.
Here's an example of a legal tackle. Important biomechanics concepts related to tackling involve moments and distributed loads. The moment of force about a certain point provides a measure of tendency for an object to rotate. Mathematically, it is equivalent to r cross f, where r is the perpendicular distance from an axis to the line of action of the force, essentially the distance from a certain point to the point where the force is acting. The larger the moment, the larger the force inflicted, which is why some tackles take football players down while others merely make them stumble. Distributed loads is one of the most important concepts governing the physics of legal tackles. In physics, force is the thing that causes objects to move. When a force is exerted on an object with a larger surface area, the force is more distributed than if the impacted area was more concentrated and had a smaller surface area. This concept is illustrated by the idea of distributed loads. In the human body, muscles apply distributed loads to the skeleton. Some muscles attach over a large area. These muscles, when forces/loads are applied, will experience reduced pressure and forces. This is why the NFL considers legal tackles those that target large and supported body areas, as seen in the previous video. It minimizes the risk of injuries to the players because the impact is more distributed.
Here's an example of an illegal tackle. This tackle is illegal because players drop their heads and make contact directly helmet to helmet. It was outlawed by the NFL only 2 years ago because of the severe injuries that result from such a tackle, such as spinal injuries and concussions. During this tackle, you have two very hard surfaces, the helmets, which don't allow for the spread of impact of force. More concentrated force leads to more internal reactions in the body, which could travel down the spinal cord and compress it, or shake the brain inside the skull. Also, these areas prone to injuries are not as well supported by other joints and systems to absorb the shock from the force, so there is no place for the force to be distributed on. Here are a few examples of injuries from various illegal tackles. The anterior cruciate ligament, better known as the ACL, lies in the middle of the knee and prevents the shin bone from sliding out from underneath the patella. The ACL can be torn by sudden changes in direction of the forces acting on it, which is why it so commonly is torn in football. Tackles that are aimed directly at the knee, for example, if one were to aim for the knee from the side, are illegal in football because the sudden sideways force would cause a shear stress in the ligament to overcome the ligament and tear it. Head-to-head hits, such as the one in the video shown, often result in concussions that have lifelong side effects. As two powerful, monstrous men slam their heads and helmets, which are hard surfaces with no give, into each other, all the force generated is going straight to their heads. When the collision occurs and the acceleration of the player's helmets dramatically changes, it causes the brain to shake inside the skull, leaving them with often ignored brain injuries.
Football, like many other sports, has a lot of physics tied into it. Using basic concepts of biomechanics, it is clear why the NFL has recently chosen to implement many new rules into this exciting game. Our bodies are only so strong, and placing regulations on football tackling helps players to maximize their career in football and avoid painful or even life-threatening injuries.